Good morning and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a very special event or a very special session on account based marketing. Right? Whether you're turning in from the comfort of your home or maybe you might be at office. Right? So, we are thrilled to have you. So, I'm Kanishka. I am the department lead at Creative Hub. So, we have Kavishant with us, who is the performance marketing lead at Creative Hub. Hi, Kavishant. Good morning.
Hi, Kani. A very good morning to you.
Yes. So, like the heading says, right? Account based marketing, right? So, you might be someone who is working in a sales team, or you might be someone who's working in a marketing team, right? No matter what, account based marketing is something that you should know about, right? Especially when you are, working with clients from the B2B space, right? So then the first thing that comes to my mind, okay, what is account based marketing, right? So in my point of view, I'll define account based marketing more as a targeted approach, right? A targeted marketing strategy, right? Where businesses can, treat individuals in their market as separate leads, separate potential customers, right? Where we go in detail, right? How we can target these leads, how we can target, take customized approaches to target these potential leads that we have. Kavishant, in your
Yeah,
point of view, how would
on
you define this?
as you said, right, it's more over towards, let's say, rather than a broad audience, right? It's more over toward a high value account, right? But
Correct.
standing apart, like ahead from that, what I see most important, right, is that synchronization with marketing and the sales team, right?
Correct.
Because when it comes to ABM, right, we are targeting a specific high value client, right? So the marketing and the sales team has to be on a level of aiming towards a particular KPI, right? Looking
Right.
at particular accounts, right? That has to be run towards a exact endpoint, right? That is the
Correct.
main thing that I see, that where okay, there is a specific target account and the combination of, let's say, sales and marketing team with a lot of personalization, right?
Right. Yes. So just to add into that, I mean, those days, most of the businesses used to, consider the sales team as one entity and the marketing team as another entity, which should not be the case, right? Because marketing and sales goes together. You like it or not, it has to go together, right? Say the account, but the accounts that you want to target, right? You have to get the input from the sales team, right? You have to get the input from the marketing team, right? So then how can you basically target where you stay on the same page, right? Where your sales
Right.
team and the marketing team stays on the same page and identify what the target accounts that they want to reach out to, right? And especially you being a performance marketing lead, you might have the experience or you might have the understanding on how we can take a very customized or a personalized approach. So I feel like that's one reason why the sales and marketing teams basically should work together and understand these potential leads.
Right. So having, agreed on that, what you call synchronization with the sales and the marketing team, right? Having that said, the next thing that we have to like clearly look into is, right, this level of personalization, right?
Right.
Because here we are not just putting a wide net, right, to catch a lot of fishes, right? It's like spearfishing, right? When you talk about personalization, it's that, right? If to let's say I'll just put out a quite good example, right? If you are looking at a scenario, a software company is looking to engage with a key account in a health sector, let's say,
Mhm.
right? Rather than a generic message about the software's benefits, right, or the software features, right, and let's say hoping to reach out to a wider audience, ABM's approach is more towards understanding the healthcare clients' pain points and the requirements, right?
Correct.
Addressing specific compliance issues, workflow challenges, looking at aspirations, right? It's basically providing that exact solution, right, that the software offers to that particular person, right? So having a clear understanding on ABM now, right? What it exactly like does in level of strategical approach, right? What we need to understand is also the difference between the usual traditional digital marketing, right, and the ABM marketing area, right?
Correct, correct.
So
So just to add into that, Kavi, I think one main reason, since we are talking about this traditional marketing as well, right? Most of us are used to it, right? Most of us are, used to run bulk campaign, email campaigns, targeting. We find their email somehow. You go through all the directories you have, right? Find their email somehow, and you just bombard them with a bunch of emails, right, that might just be sitting there in their inbox, or probably in their spam, right? So what I understand is the main one of the main differences that I see, when you compare this traditional marketing with account based marketing, is basically the focus, right? What
mhm,
sort of a
yeah,
focus you'd have when it comes to traditional marketing, and what sort of a focus you have when it comes to account based marketing, right? Because when it comes to account based marketing, it focus more on the individual accounts, right, like you said, right?
mhm,
And they target specific needs and interests of those accounts, right, where they
right.
treat them as special important accounts, right? So I mean, like, since you already know, you have experience in running social media campaigns to running PPC, right? So traditional marketing strategies tend to target more broad audiences, which we already discussed, right? So that's one thing, or that's one key point I see as a difference between
Right.
this traditional marketing and account based marketing.
That's correct. So adding upon that also, right, the approach that we take, right, on a traditional marketing approach, right, as you said, reaching a larger audience, right, it's, let's say, how many social platforms I can just put out my content, right?
Hmm.
It's not at all on ABM, right? ABM,
Correct.
it is more towards a account specific approach, right? Treating individuals accounts as direct markets, right? Quite good example that we recently came across also, I mean, where we already knew, like with the new client that was onboarded, right?
Hmm.
This client is particularly looking into Europe country, like particularly in Russia, right?
Right.
For you to target on a search engine on
Hmm.
Russia, right?
Hmm.
You don't need to go ahead with Google, right? Google as not a search engine. Yes,
Right.
yes, we can go ahead with it, right? But if you look at the Russia, right, their search engine, their mostly used search engine is not Google,
Right.
right?
Okay.
It's called
Okay.
Yandex, right?
Right.
So that approach needs to be looked at. That personalization needs to be looked at, right? And again, talking about the approach, right? The funnel that we are looking into, right? Because taking a traditional way, right, it typically follows a broader sales approach, right? As simple
Correct.
as lead generation and nurturing, right? But when it comes to ABA, right, it's focused on specific accounts, right? This is specifically focused on sales cycle, right?
Correct.
From looking at a buying committee, right? Where would I research to see, okay, these are the areas I'll be, what do you call, searching for. These are the areas I'll be engaging for. These are the
Correct.
areas I'll be looking for solutions, right?
Correct.
So that level of approach needs to be taken, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
these are one of the main difference that I see in a, what do you call, the main difference between a traditional and a ABM strategy.
Yeah, also to add into that, Kavi, we something that we have to look into is this resource allocation, right? So with account-based marketing, these resources are, concentrated on smaller number of high-value accounts, right?
Hmm.
Where you have the expectation of a high ROI. I mean, as a business, even after the pandemic situation, most of the businesses are, very much concerned, or they are kind of hesitant to spend, right? So
Right.
as a CXO, how can I make sure, right, how can I have that confidence that my sales and marketing team is
Hmm.
reaching out to the right people, right? Is
Right.
Are they are they just running a social media campaign trying to find B2B leads? That's not going to work. I mean, that might work, but not to a great extent, right?
Right.
So with that, Kavi, I think something that we have to talk about, which is very important, is that what is the benefit or what are the advantages, or why should a company or why should a sales and marketing team look into this ABM, right? ABM approach in the current business environment. What
Right.
is your take on it?
Yeah, as you said, Kanye, so at this current point in the business environment, right, to simply put it as an example, right, if you're looking for any particular service, right, if you just go Google it, I'm pretty sure you'll get at least 4 sponsored ads, right? Your first view of screen will be with 4 Google Ads search ads, right? So
Correct.
we are in that sort of a competition, right? So everyone will be like request for a demo. There is a free demo, right? Buy today, purchase today, right? There is a 50% discount that is going on to whatnot, right? So having this level of competition for us to stand out, right? Where the core aspect of ABM is that personalization, right?
Correct.
If I'm in front of the screen, right? If I'm seeing exactly what my pain point is, definitely I'm gonna click on it, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
if the landing page is towards what I'm looking at, I'll definitely would convert, right?
Correct.
So that I see as a main important, right? Because of the competition, why we need to shift towards the ABM, right? And the other thing, Kani, that I'm looking at is this buyer's journey, right? With the technological developments, right? Because one day people might use one account, right? Another day another account, right? There are a lot of things influencing a buyer's journey, right? It
Correct.
becoming more complex, right?
Hmm.
So having a ABM strategy put on, right, with high level accounts with very specific targeting data and analytics of that markets, right? As we call as like what you call account centric markets, right?
Correct.
It allows us to adapt to the complexity, right?
Hmm.
Delivering content for each stage on the buyer's journey, right?
Correct.
Where then our marketing efforts, right, remain relevant, right? Where it influence to a greater extent to they become what you call a loyal customer to us,
Correct, correct.
right?
So since you are talking about this bias or the bias journey, right? Something that just popped up to my mind is that we why it's very important in the B2B space is that the complex decision making process, right? So when
Yeah.
it comes to a business, let's forget like a small scale business, even in a small scale business, right? B2B purchases or the B2B decisions often involve, multiple stakeholders, right? It could be, the directors, your CEO, the CTO, the chief revenue officer, right? And they have, different needs. They have different pain points, right? So when it comes to ABM, it addresses all this complexity, right, by enabling these marketers to take, a very tailored approach, right,
Right.
where they identify, okay, these are the pain points of these kind of stakeholders. This is how I can reach out to them. But so
Mhm.
that's something that businesses has to understand, not like, running a social media campaign. When it comes to ABM, that is why it's important in the current B2B landscape, where, you have the chance, you have the opportunity to identify the
Right.
problem and, propose a solution for it.
Yeah. On that, Kani, so looking at, yes, now we understood the importance, right, of why it is needed in a what do you call a
Yep.
business environment like this, right? I would just like to give a quick process tip, right, on how approach that we could take, right? I'll just name out a few tools, right, that also could be helpful for whoever that's looking at our what do you call podcast, right? So basically, if you to target a specific account, right? Let's say a quick simple way is, let's say, LinkedIn, right?
Correct.
Basically, when it comes to specifically B2B, I'm talking about, right? When it
Hmm.
comes to B2B, right? You directly have their LinkedIn profile, right?
Correct.
And then you have LinkedIn ads, right? You have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? And I know everyone is now aware about Snow.io, right?
Yeah.
Basically, through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? If you, let's say, I'm looking at healthcare sector, right? I just put the industry healthcare sector, right? I'm looking at a company size like this, right?
Mhm.
At this what they call location, right? And I'm looking at senior level, C-suite level. Boom, I'll get all the results of C-suite level in the healthcare sector, like thousands and thousands of results. Okay, now I have that, right? What I'm gonna do next, right? If you have to target that particular person, there are several multi-channel approaches that you could take,
Correct. Yeah.
right? Let's say I need to build sort of awareness, right? Through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you got that thousands of accounts, right? Export that to Snuff, right? Boom, you get all their email addresses,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Having their email addresses, you create a custom audience list, right? Now you have set of solid data to target them through multiple platforms. Let's say you run a LinkedIn ads to that custom audience, right? You with the email list you have, you send an email sequence, right? And let's say to combine that, you quickly, let's say a salesperson go send a LinkedIn request to that person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And say after they accept it, let's invite them to follow our page, right? So that one particular this process has really working out at this point for us, right? So why don't you add your level of input as well to this?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you are doing right there.
Correct, correct. So just to give you like a real world example that I faced, I think last week, right? So now, I mean, even our audience, I'm pretty sure that they know what account based marketing is, and basically how you can target these businesses, right? So just to tell about a real world example that we had to pitch for a client, which was a merchant onboarding app, right?
All right.
So
Yeah.
obviously, again, a B2B client, right? So again, social media, it's good to have social media, right? But then we had to take a more targeted approach to reach out to these merchants, right? So the first thing that we had to do is to find these people, right? So to find these merchants, right? So that's where sourcing came into place, right? So if
Right.
you are a person who doesn't know what sourcing is, right? So basically searching out, going all in and trying to identify or trying to have like a database, I say, of all the accounts, of
Mhm.
all the people, of all the businesses you can target, right? Think of it as a small, an Excel sheet where you have the name, the business, maybe like an email address, or maybe even the link to that person's LinkedIn profile, right? And then that's the cleansing part. That's like the first step that we follow, right?
Right.
So, okay, fine. Now we have a whole database. Are we going to reach out to everyone or each and everyone? Not really, because end of the day, we have to see whether those are MQLs, marketing qualified leads, right? So then what we have to do is basically cleanse and enrich, right? This data, basically the database that we had to cleanse it, right? So after the cleansing process, we had a solid list of accounts that we wanted to reach out to, right? So like you said, LinkedIn Sales Navigator came in handy for us to do this, right? Where we reach out to these people through LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? We send them a message, very customized, very personalized message, right? And we save these leads into a thing called a lead list. So if you are a person who is using LinkedIn Sales Navigator already, I'm pretty sure you are very familiar with these
Right.
terms, right? So where we save them into a lead list, we send them a customized message, right? Some of them responded, but as obviously some didn't, right? So like you said, Snow.io is another tool that we can use. Snow, and then we have Apollo, right? Those are some tools that we use, right, to understand or to figure out, to identify what are the email addresses of these the leads, right? So then parallelly you can run an email campaign saying, hey, I reached out to you on LinkedIn, but unfortunately we couldn't get in touch. And what we try to do there is, there are two communication channels that's running at the same time, LinkedIn and also email, right? So some they didn't respond on LinkedIn, but some they responded on email, right? So once we got the response over LinkedIn or email, we kept the conversation going, and we were able to convert a couple of leads. This is, mind you, this is not only through LinkedIn, through email. Why? Because we took an account-based marketing approach, right?
Yeah, I would like to add on to there also. We are actually not like paid sponsors of LinkedIn and Snow, because it actually worked for us, right? That's what we are recommending to these areas, right? So yeah, Kani, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you are a business or a person from the sales team or a marketing team, if you haven't used LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or if you haven't used any tools, that can let you know, okay, what is the email address of this person. Okay, there is an ethical consideration over there, but then end of the day, what you want is leads, right? How can you, I mean, obviously Sales Navigator is a very ethical tool, right? How you can basically target the right people you want. End of the day, how can you bring in leads, right? So I think we discussed quite a lot of important things, right? We spoke about what is account-based marketing, right? How is it different from the traditional marketing approaches, right? Another very important thing is why and how businesses should adopt this account-based marketing into their day-to-day life business, right? And we just ran you through a real-world example, right? So also, just to add into that, we spoke about a few tools, right? LinkedIn Sales Navigator, LinkedIn, Snow, Apollo, right? So these are a couple of tools that you can use when it comes to account-based marketing, right? So we had a really good session, right? So we have a couple of new and more sessions in our pipeline, right? We are excited to let you all know more about account-based marketing, different approaches, different strategies, different metrics that you can measure, right? So we are looking forward to seeing you guys with the second episode of account-based marketing. And Kavishan, thank you so much for joining and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much, Kani.
Right.
Thank
All
you
right
so
then. Thank you guys. Thank you. Have
All
a great
right.
day
See you
ahead.
guys.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.